Welcome back to another video. In today's video, we will look at creating and customizing heat maps using the Seaborn library. But what is a heat map? A heat map is a data visualization tool that is used to graphically represent the magnitude of data using colors. This helps identify values easily from a given set of data. Say for example, we want to find the most correlating attributes from a given dataset. Which would you prefer, the correlation table or the correlated heat map? Let me know in the comment section below. Before moving forward, I would highly appreciate if you could take a moment to hit the like button, smash that subscribe button and turn on bell notification to stay updated. Stay tuned. So the first thing to do is to import the required libraries. So let's go ahead and import the required libraries. Now we are using pandas and numpy for basic data operations. We are using Seaborn and matplotlib for creating the plots. And we are using sklearn to import the second dataset for our tutorial. The first dataset that I am using for this tutorial is a flight dataset from the Seaborn library. So let's go ahead and load the dataset. Now let's use the head function to see the data. As we can see, the dataset consists of 3 columns, namely year, month, and number of passengers. So what we are trying to do here is use the heat map and find the month and year that has the highest number of passengers. Let's use the describe function to get some more information about the data. Now that we have a basic idea about the dataset, let's plot the heat map. And let's add the column names. Now let's pass this data into the heat map function. Let's add a title to our heat map. And let's show it using the show function. Now as we can see, our heat map is generated. The scale on the right side of the heat map is known as a color bar, and it corresponds to the value being plotted on the heat map. For this particular heat map, the lighter shade indicates a higher value and the darker shade indicates a lower value. So by just looking at the heat map, one can say that July 1960 has the highest number of passengers in the given dataset. Now let's change the size of the plot. To do that, we can set the figure size. I am setting 10 by 7. Now the heat map looks a bit bigger. Now let's change the data being plotted. That is, we can change the x and y axis. We can just change the data over here. And as we can see, our data on the x and y axis has changed. You can also turn the color bar off if required. Now let's see how to do that. And if we modify that, we can see the color bar has now disappeared. Now we can also change the position of the color bar to the bottom of the heat map rather than at the side of the heat map. We can do that by setting the orientation of the color bar. And if we run it, we can see that the color bar is at the bottom of our heat map. Now let's put it back to our original form and add a line between the cells. So I'm removing the horizontal color bar and I'm specifying a line width. Now as you can see, our cells are separated by white lines. To see the values within a cell, we can turn the annotation and set the format to decimal. Annotation equal to true and format equal to decimal. Now the values in the cell correspond to the number of passengers. To cross-verify this, let's find out the maximum number of passengers from the heat map. To do this, we can look for the cell with the highest shade, which in this case is given by the month of July in the year 1960. This cell gives us the highest number of passengers, which is 622. Now if you recall using the describe function in the initial steps, we can see that the maximum number of passengers in the dataset is 622. You can also change the line color by specifying the line color. I am giving black for this example. And as we can see, our cells are separated by black lines. Now let's change the color of the heat map. To change the color of the heat map, we can add in the cmap parameter and specify the required colors. For this tutorial, I'm going to set the color as plasma. There are a lot of different colors available on the Matplotlib color map website. I'll put a link to it in the description below so you can check it out. So let's add the cmap parameter. Let's change it to another one. Which color palette would you prefer? Let me know in the comment section below. So far, we have talked about creating and modifying heat maps using the Seaborn's library. Now let us look at creating a correlation matrix using heat maps. So what is a correlation matrix? A correlation matrix is a table used to show the correlation between different attributes in the given data. For demonstrating this, I am using the California housing data from the sklearn dataset. So let's load the dataset. Now let's convert it into a pandas data frame and add the column names and target column. Now let's see the data using the head function. To know more information about the dataset or to know more information about the columns, such as what these column names indicate, you can use the describe function. And here you can see what each column name stands for. I'm just minimizing this for now. Now to see the correlated data, I can just type df.corr. Now this will give a correlated table. Now this shows a correlation between the features in our data. Now as you can see, it would be easier to identify the most correlated features if the data was color coded. So let's go ahead and plot a heat map to visualize the correlated data. Let's set the figure size. Let's pass in the correlated data. Let's set a title for our plot. And as you can see, our heat map is plotted. From this heat map, we can infer that 0.85 is the most correlated value and minus 0.92 is the least correlated value. We can also infer that the median income has a direct correlation with the target variable, that is the price. Now let us look at how to plot only the lower half of the correlation matrix. To do that, we can set a mask and let's add the mask over here. And if you run the cell, we can see that only the lower half of the correlation matrix has been plotted. Now we can also increase the font size of the text. To do that, I'm setting the annotation. I'm setting a font size of 12. As we can see, the font size has increased. Now when we look at the heat map, we can see that the different cells have different range for decimal points. Let's make them unique by limiting all the cells to 3 decimal points. So let's add a format over here. This will limit all the values in the heat map to 3 decimal points. To stylize the heat map further, we can make the fonts appear bold. To do that, we can go to annotation again and set the font weight as bold. And if you run the cell, we can see all the fonts are bolder. We can also add a line between the cells to further enhance the appearance of the heat map. There, that looks very neat. That brings us to the end of this video. Hope you got an understanding about creating and customizing heat maps using the Seaborn library. Don't forget to leave a like and hit that subscribe button if you like this video. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.